further ado, we have a guest speaker today, Andy Summers. Andy and his wife Brandy are here with us today. And I'm going to turn this over to Andy for his message.
Okay, thank you.
Welcome.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
All right, so first things first, thank you very much for letting me come and talk to you today. Secondly, if you have any expectations, please lower them. All right, so John asked me to come and just give what he called a faith testimony, which I kind of is my journey on when I started going to church and then what I've done since those days. So my presentation starts with this beautiful picture, which I cited my sources in case you're in education down the bottom. I am a teacher at Indian Hills. I teach automotive technology. I absolutely love it. I work with amazing people, and it is a great place to work. So I am comfortable talking in front of people, unless it's at church, because counting this time, I've done it exactly once. So bear with me, please. So my church journey started with the PowerPoint, which I'm running right now, so this takes me back a few years. I wanted to get involved a little bit, and how do you get involved in a church? You run the PowerPoint, right? Now, a lot of people think, oh, that's easy. It actually isn't. Running the PowerPoint is a very difficult task, and you really can't engage in church when you're running the PowerPoint because you know if the words are wrong or the presentation doesn't go right. Everyone is looking, you all know about it, what's going on back there. Then I became the sound guy, which again is a task that is somewhat difficult because if a microphone squeaks, pops, or if anything stops working, again, we turn around. What's going on back there? Then I became the praise band member. I still play in the praise band. I absolutely love making music. Now, what my presentation is about is my journey, but it's also about hopefully convincing you to volunteer to do things that you've never done before. Now, the praise band needed a bass player. It just so happens I didn't know how to play bass, or did I own one? So I bought a bass guitar, and I started playing, and now I play bass and sing in the praise band. So it's a little bit of a step out of the ordinary, and some people say, well, you're musically inclined. Now, I can sing. I can't read music at all. I still can't. I look at little symbols, and it says G, so I play G. I know what that is. So that's how I play. And then I started singing in the choir because I noticed my bass playing was greatly outpacing my vocals. So I thought, you know what, I'll join the choir, and that'll help me out a lot. And then I started as a visioning committee member, which basically is looking at the future of churches. And I'm still doing that. I love that. Finance committee. This was one of the worst committees I ever served on in my tenure as a member. So finance was there, retired out of that. Ad board. I still am on the ad board. Those are good meetings as well. And then I'm on the trustees board, so if an outlet plate falls off or the trim gets knocked off, then I put that back on. But that's fun. And then I went on a member retreat with my lovely wife, and you can wave. I always call her out because she loves it when I'm talking. The member retreat is something that I'm sure you all do, and if you don't, please consider doing it. A member retreat is where you get a group of leaders in the church or a group of people. You just go somewhere, and you spend 2 days together. We ate together, we prayed together, we talked about the future of the church together. Absolutely was an amazing little mini vacation from the normal everyday life. And then when you reach the pinnacle of your career, then you end up talking in front of people because the pastor is gone. I don't know if you can see that up there, the font's a little bit small, but that is how I got here to be with you. Now I gotta tell you the story about how I found God on 99.9 KCWM. I attend the young men's group, and yes, it's a young men's group. Our oldest member is 68, I think. So, every Saturday morning we drink coffee. And when the coffee shop was open in Bloomfield, we would drink coffee there. It's just kind of a fun place to hang out. And do we talk about God? Sometimes. Sometimes it's about family life, children, our significant others. We just talk about how our week was. And one day we got on the subject of someone is begging on the side of the road. What do we all think when we see them? Should I help them? Should I not help them? If I give them $20, what are they going to go buy? This is what all of us think, probably. Cigarettes, alcohol, maybe make food. But that's what we all think, right? Or at least some of us do. So we were discussing whether or not we should help people. And we just kind of ended the conversation because our hour and 15 minutes was up. And I got in my Ford Fusion, and if you're a Ford owner, you know that the radio reception in a Ford is awful. And I love Fords, don't get me wrong, but the radios just don't work very well. And I usually listen to 99.9, but I could only listen to it when I was in a Tumblr going to work. Once I got to Bloomfield, it wouldn't come in anymore. So I got in my car, twisted the keys, started the engine up. My radio wasn't on when I got out of the car. And when I got in, a voice came over the radio on that station, and it said, "We are not put on earth to judge one another, but only to help in any way possible." And it was a sermon that was on the radio Saturday morning on this station. Again, had never gotten that station in Bloomfield before, so you tell me, right? That sounds pretty godlike. The other thing I thought was really cool today, "My hope is built," right? The lyrics of the song that you sang, "I haven't talked to you." I haven't talked to you in quite some time. "My hope is built" lyrics really kind of go right along with what I'm telling you today. So yet another proof that God is with us every day. Okay, so this really is the core of my presentation. I don't know how to do that yet. If you're too quick to judge a person, a situation, you'll miss out on a lot of opportunities. And what that means is, I'm standing in front of you for two reasons. One of them, John's gone. The other one is, I said yes to this opportunity because I knew I would have to prepare. And when you prepare for something like this, you learn a ton about yourself, and you learn a ton about everything else. So, always a great opportunity to get up and stand in front of people because, again, I had to prepare a lot of things. Now, some of the examples I've got up here are things that I thought I could never do. And one of them is handmade ceramics. And let me just show you. I've set this mug up here. See this? Beautiful, isn't it? I made this. The next one is a self-portrait during an art class. Now, I have never been able to draw anything but car parts. I can draw a tie rod in pretty well, and other than that, not so much. I also baked a 3-layer cake with homemade buttercream icing. I don't have a picture, but she'll tell you it did happen. I don't know how good it was. I thought it was good, of course, but I did it. And then I also played a ruthless gangster in a local play. If you didn't see the play, I kind of mean in that. So that's not really who I am, but you never know until you try. So here's the proof. This is this mug right here, right? It says Andy on the bottom. I really did that. Now, this next one is my self-portrait. I want you to get ready to stare into the eyes of the Mona Lisa. There it is. Okay, so obviously there are some things that we can do and be like proud of it. That mug is great. And then there are some things we can do when you show people, you're like, man, that's all they're going to remember. That was all. So I always think this was my teacher's face when I turned that in. Right? This is Face Palm Guy, and he's going to visit a little bit later in the presentation as well. So some things we're good at, some things we're not. I tried it, didn't work. Have you ever thought to yourself, and I stole this from Alpha, there's got to be more to life than this, right? I've said that to myself several times. And it's not that I'm unhappy. I'm a very happy person most of the time. But there's always something more, it feels like, that you can do. And really the purpose of this is thinking outside the box. Now, I left myself some notes here, so bear with me, please. Because once you get in front of people, then you forget everything you were going to say. Okay. Now, questions I ask, somewhat rhetorical, but rehearse and answer in your head. That's what I tell my students. Always rehearse and answer, because I might call on you. Why do you go to church? Have you ever really thought about why you're here? Are you here to study? Are you here to learn? Are you here because it's what you've always done? Are you here because your parents made you come? Everyone has their own reasons, right? Do you like the people here? Is that a reason? That's one of my reasons for why, when I'm having a hard day, I do go to church, because I like the people that I'm surrounded with. Now, one point I want to point out here, or I guess ask you, what do you think the fastest way to grow your faith is? Number one answer probably is reading the Bible, right? Most people agree with that. I would agree that that is a good way to grow your faith, but I think it's not the number one way. I think stepping out of your comfort zone, trusting in God, trusting in yourself, and volunteering to do something is going to help you grow your faith faster than anything else. Once you feel connected to your church, that's when you, I guess, smile when you go to church. There's some days I wanted to not go to church, but I had to because I played in the band. Last night I was like, man, I feel sick, maybe. No, I still better go. Oh, and by the way, I set out dress pants to wear today to impress all of you, and they didn't fit. I'm going to say it was the dryer, probably. All right, so I am an educator. This is one of my favorite things to look at. This is Bloom's taxonomy, and I know that you probably can't see all the words up there, but what the main point of this is the triangle. So what we have is remember, understand, apply, analyze, evaluate, and create. Now, when you're a teacher, we kind of live our lesson plans around this. What do we want our students to do at the end? We want them to remember what we said, understand what we said, apply, and then as the lesson gets more in depth and things become better understood, then we try and get to the top of this pyramid, to the create stage. And that's really where a student can prove they absolutely understand that particular topic. So when we teach, we try and model ourselves around this. So what I did is I took this and put it towards what I'm talking about today. So we have the bottom half there, and I know you can't read that, but that says reading the Bible and going to church. That's going to get you the first 2 tiers of this triangle, in my opinion. Again, these are all my opinions, no one else's. So you can disagree. That's why we're all humans, right? And this says small groups. So if you want to get to the stage that is analyze and apply, that's small groups. That means now you're talking to people, and you're really starting to formulate this foundation about what things are about. Then you get to the very top. And it says, volunteering will take you to the next level. To prepare for this day, I created and designed a new original work, formulated and investigated all of these things to bring to you. So if you step out of your comfort zone, you start doing new things, and I don't mean just for church, but new things in general, you're going to find yourself a much more whole person. So please, I guess, think about doing things that you wouldn't normally do. Getting in front of you makes me very nervous, but I am doing it because I think I'll be a better person when it's over. Singing. Did you ever think you were going to be standing in front of a church singing? Me either. These are all things that we've chosen to do because we were asked. And there's 2 answers when you're asked, yes or no. John asked me to do this, and I immediately said yes. Not because I was, yay, I love talking in front of people. It's because I knew I would grow as a person to come and do this. Now, God does not call the equipped. He equips the called. The pictures that I showed you prove that. I bought a bass guitar to play in the praise band because I knew that would involve me more in the church. I started talking in front of small groups. I led an Alpha course. If you haven't gone through Alpha yet, please consider doing so. It is, in my opinion, one of the best small groups there is out there. Alpha made a huge difference for me. I went through it, went through a few others, and then came back and led my own. And I'm happy to say my group, over half of them are now leading their own small groups. So Alpha is a wonderful, wonderful small group. We do one every year, and if you haven't done one, please keep that in mind. This is another one of my favorite quotes. A journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Taking the first step's the hardest. Please, again, consider stepping out of your comfort zone and doing things that you thought you would never do. Now, this one kind of got jumbled a little bit by the presentation, but you're only going to be as good as the people you surround yourself with. So please choose wisely. I surround myself with people in church because you're wonderful people. You're here for the right reason. Why is it okay for me to come and talk in church for me? Why am I not as nervous? Because you're all Christians. And you're looking at me right now thinking, this is okay. And if it was awful, you'd still say, you know what, that was pretty good. right? This is the best place to volunteer and grow yourself because people here will support you. They may give you constructive criticism, but they will support you and they will say, you know what, that was great. You know what, why don't you try this next time? So, start to volunteer in your church. We're all pieces of the big picture. Without all of you in place, the picture is incomplete, so take the first step. As your church grows, which I think it will, John is an amazing pastor, and all of you are amazing members, and I think this church is destined to grow. But it's going to take all of you working together, stepping out of your comfort zone, and really getting into a new sense of work. Okay, so this is the end of my presentation. I don't know how long that was, probably like 5 minutes. I planned for 15, and that usually means about 8. I don't know that I inspired anyone, but I do want you to think about what you can do. And I want you to think about saying yes next time someone asks you to do something. Now, if it's something you should say no to, then obviously I'm not saying anything like that. Say no. But if it's, why don't you come help me do this? Why don't you sing with us today? Do it. If it's, can you vacuum the church? Yeah, I can do that. Can I run the PowerPoint? Yes, sounds good to me. Can you give a closing prayer, which was asked of me today, and I'm really nervous about doing that. I tell people I pray in haiku format, so you're going to hear that shortly. But the 2 pictures up here are this. So I could have either inspired you through good stories, or I could have inspired you when you close your eyes and we're leaving and